Welcome back to On Point, my old Kentucky home edition. James, back from Arkansas. Got to see some really good racing.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was a great weekend. Some big performances on both Friday and Saturday. Really enjoyed it.
All right, obviously over the next 2.5 weeks, we'll be talking Oaks, we'll be talking Derby. You saw the final 100-point races to the winner in both of those divisions. Ever So Clever, a clever pick by you. Classic Empire, a clever pick by me. What'd you think of the big winners?
Well, I thought that for sure the Arkansas Derby has a much better chance of having an effect on the Kentucky Derby 3 weeks later. I mean, the Oaks, the fantasy field, just, I mean, hard to come away thinking that those fillies were very good, as far as like stepping up to the Kentucky Oaks where they're going to have to meet those California-based horses as well as Farrell. So, but the Arkansas Derby, not only is Classic Empire back in the picture and, has a big chance now, you would think going forward if he keeps moving forward, but looking at Lee, Sonneteer, both like sort of established themselves as late running exotic types, and Conquest Mo Money. I mean, his game was tough game as nails. So I think there's definitely a feeling that like maybe one of those horses could definitely factor in the Derby.
Sure, two of those on the bubble, although they got one step closer with Conquest Mo Money's connections, saying they're going to point toward the Preakness.
That's right. Yeah.
But still, they're looking at Lee and Sonneteer both on the outside looking in, but a lot can happen in, what are we down to, 18 days?
18 days.
So, which the draw is 15 away, so they'll have to make it before then. But I agree with you. I thought it was a productive race. I thought, the horses who were in the picture at the end were running on. And I'll be honest, I tweeted this yesterday. Sonneteer, not saying he's a win threat. I'd probably need 100 to 1 there. But, I mean, the way he's in form and running his race and game at the end, maybe he's the one that helps you get another $24,000 super.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's always a little bit difficult to gauge, how, whether those efforts are real or not. Sometimes you'll see a real big late running effort that finishes second or third and it turns out to be a mirage going forward. But, I mean, you could see looking at Lee, I mean, he was looking for running room through the stretch, weaving in and out. And Sonneteer really, was coming quick at the end. So, like I said before, I think both those horses are definitely ones to consider.
Looking at Lee, trained by Steve Asmussen, one of the horses he does have in already is Hence. And I don't know if it's because he's sort of been working at Churchill and we need to talk and write about something going on there. McCracken worked today, so he'll add to it. But certainly he's turned some heads, and the way that Sunland Derby has come back with Conquest Mo Money and IRAP winning or performing well out of it. Hence starting to get a little more chatter. Was actually in the field for the final future wager pool. You could add him and a bunch of others at 11 to 1. He won't be that low in the Derby, but he's certainly his stock is certainly rising.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, at the time in late March, nobody could have thought that the Sunland Derby would produce two. I mean, with IRAP winning the Bluegrass and running fourth in there, and Conquest Mo Money running second in the Arkansas Derby, that race has really, like you said, flattered the Hence. And he worked with Local Hero, and it looked like a pretty good work. I was enthused to see him work with a horse like. I mean, to me, Local Hero, he's a hard spun colt. He's got some class to him. He's going to be a really good miler, I think. And that's not like working with some like unraced maiden or some horse that's like going to be running in claiming ranks like you'll see sometimes these stakes horses do to flatter them. He was running with a horse that was pretty good, working with a horse that was good, and he looked like he worked well.
Yeah, and for Steve, I need to go back and look, but his style isn't necessarily to have a workmate, so that clearly to me by design, and that he picked one that established. Certainly it speaks well.
And the other thing with Hence is he's one of 3 for Calumet that are in the field. I mean, Sonneteer, like we mentioned, and Patch, who ran second in the Louisiana Derby. So, Calumet, they won 8 Derbies from 1940s to 68, and now they're back with 3 hopefuls.
Absolutely. I'll get you out of here on the same question I asked Vance to end it. As we come up to the Derby, what are you reading? Who are you trusting? What is helping you form those final opinions as to who you pick, who you bet, how you'll structure your wagers?
Well, the thing I really like to do is I like to go back and watch the races. I mean, I watch them over and over. I've already watched that Arkansas Derby several times, and I'm going to peek at it again tonight. I'm just going to do a lot of video work and, just try to keep an open mind going forward, because the one thing I don't like to do is get pigeonholed into opinion too soon. And, to me, there's several horses in the race. I hate post 1, but I mentioned this to you before, but a horse like Irish War Cry, I mean, my whole opinion changes on him if he draws like post 4 or 5, because I think he needs to be outside.
Yeah, great point. And we'll certainly be waiting up until post to formulate those final opinions, but a lot going on between now and then to get us there. For me, I'm not a huge replay guy, and I am pigeonholed. I think it's pretty clear that I want Classic Empire to win the Derby. But for me, just finding those horses underneath, I mean, even though I'm probably going to end up on the chalk, there is no way we're going to see what we saw last year with the top 4 choices being the Colt Super.
Absolutely not. Yeah, and with you had American Pharoah and Dortmund, or they're both 5-2, 3-1, or something in there. First and third.
Let's definitely get back to Golden Soul or Commanding Curve. We won't have Dallas Stewart to help us get there, but there are some names that maybe can. So hopefully we'll find them.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Looking forward to the next 2.5 weeks.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week, and we'll be live at Churchill at the end of next week. So join us then.